close. Yes, for long periods of both games, we were much better than them. But we are not there, and that has to hurt. And if we want to win this competition and go there, we need to realize that. And there are certain things that are on us, and you shouldn't be just understanding that we are out. It's not the way I look at it.
Are you happy, or have you seen enough progress with your team this season?
100%. I don't think there's been a better team in the competition so far, what I've seen. But we are out tonight. We deserve much more, I think, in both games. But this competition is about the boxes, and in the boxes there are normally the strikers most of the time, and a goalkeeper, and he was the best player in both games.
Ultimately, what do you want to do over the summer to make changes or add to get further?
I'm so proud of the boys, and what they deserve a lot of credit for what they're doing in the context and the situation, and with the amount of injuries. We have arrived here probably in the worst state that you can arrive as a team. You have to get here with everybody fit, available, with a lot of minutes, with rest, like they had a week. We come here in a completely different context and still do that. So that gives me a lot of positivity for the future. But tonight I'm very upset.
And Mikel, thank you for talking to us anyway.
And it'll sting for a while. Martin, he talks about the progression that they've made, that he's happy with that. Where do you stand on Arsenal's progression?
Well, to be honest, I agree with a lot what the manager said there tonight about being proud with the group. There was a lot of pressure on them those first 15 minutes. They really took the game to their opponent, just weren't clinical enough. That's where they failed, really. But I think the journey that they're on, I think he's putting the pieces together in this jigsaw piece. It's a long, winding road. It's not a straight path to success. And I know what that feels like. And he's talked before this game tonight about the hurt, anger, and using it as energy into tonight's game. They did that. And that's what they're going to have to build upon for next season. I was in an Arsenal team that went 3 seasons second best to Manchester United. Disappointments in major cup finals. Okay, this is almost like a cup final here. They've got to bounce back and make sure that they build from there. It's a foundation to build from now, but obviously recruitment is key to that. You know, we look at this team here tonight, that they bought Kvaratskhelia in January for £80 million, and they made a statement, and look how important he's been to them. So, you know, I think Arsenal got caught on the hop a little bit with the injuries that they had, but I think they've done well with the players he's at his disposal. I think they've gone a hell of a long way in this tournament.
What was it you think took your team over the line?
Belief. This won't happen to us again. It can't happen. The hurt. We'll find a way to be successful. And we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to go and do that. But you have to stick together right now. You know, it's about tying down these players, the likes of Saliba, keep him at the football club. This is the back four that Arsenal have got. Okay, Gabriel not available. Some of the best defenders in Europe. So it's look at the positives. Declan Rice been going from strength to strength. You know, it's certain areas of the pitch. It's not massive jobs here to put the icing on the cake for Arsenal to be successful.
Approach the game tonight, Martin.
Yeah, I was calling for that. I'd seen a lot of the footage. I think the first 20 minutes in the first tie, they gave us a bit of a lesson, and he learned from that tonight. He made sure he pressed really high. Declan Rice being able to do that in midfield. Partey was giving that assurance, although he was a part of the goal that we conceded. Of course, the ball was headed back into an area where they punished us. But all in all, I think the tactics were perfect. Again, you saw the manager learning from the first game. It was just in that final third where you needed a box in the box. Somebody who was going to really hurt them. And there were times when, you know, when they were counter-attacking us, they had real pace, but we didn't have the same weapons to hurt them with. And I think that's where the change will come. Big recruitment will come in the summer.
Yeah, I think when you think about tactically, you think about the goals they conceded. So one's a set play where someone maybe switches off, gives a poor header, and then the second one, someone gives the ball away and you get hurt on transition. So I agree. I think tactically it was okay, and there's just them small little moments of quality where you were lacking.
What a class act he is.
He's just left without giving you his
I've
number,
had a
Micah.
great time out here. It's been marvellous.
You can keep it as a souvenir.
Oh yeah, he said he's going to give me it later on, don't worry about that.
Did you not get it? I just got it.
Has he got it?
No, I got his business card. And said, don't give it to Micah.
That's his personal assistant, that's not his number.
Are you going to enjoy the celebrations tonight? Big Mix? You with the Paris fans before the game? You're going to be with them after the game?
Me, Jamie?
Who's the fella behind?
I think the guy behind you wanted to be on the show.
I'll be drowning my sorrows tonight, Jamie. You know.
You look disappointed.
What do you mean drowning your sorrows? You were supporting PSG all the way through.
Anyway, back in the studio, have you missed me tonight or what? Have you missed me? Have you missed the energy? How was the whole show tonight?
We've been with Beckham and friends all night. We've had a great time.
Who was in there, Jamie?
You didn't even say anything.
I've had your wine, Big Meeks.
Ooh!
Just-
I'll be whining tonight, don't you worry about that, Jamie.
Yeah.
Micah, are you going to the hotel cost?
Oh, I might have a little pass through, Peter, if you fancy it.
You never know.
You never know, huh?
Never know. Oh, but we, hey,
Oui, huh?
we've already had one party here. We've already had one party here. We might as well go for the next one.
Why not?
Guys, we haven't really got a chance to hear your thoughts on the game so far, obviously, because we had the mic issues. You were with Achraf Hakimi, then you were with the president. What about your thoughts?
It was really an interesting game. I thought Arsenal were absolutely fantastic in the first 20 minutes. They gave it everything, and it was really only because of the brilliance of Donnarumma that it stayed 0-0. It was. Yeah. And then, of course, PSG scored, changed the run of the game. But, I mean, Arsenal gave it a good go, I have to say that.
They had to give it a good go, but I think the better team won. I think on that transition, in terms of energy, if you look at PSG's front three, they just had so much more pace. I thought at times when Saka or Odegaard got the ball, they took too long on the ball, and you know what the Champions League is about moments. How many times have we said on the show about moments? When Arsenal was on top in that first 20 minutes, they didn't take the chances, they didn't put the game to bed, and then PSG get their moment, and look what happened.
But they did create the chances, and you wonder if Arsenal are where Man City was a couple of years back when they didn't have a striker and they were coming short in this tournament because they didn't score enough goals. And, you know, okay, they scored today, but they were more than 6.5 game in semi-finals where they haven't scored, you know? And you need guys to put the ball in the net on the easy one. Saka had a chance right after he scored.
They also missed the penalty though as well.
Yeah,
so
but that was fine. That was never a penalty.
I think if you look at it, and
that would have ruined the game.
The game. I think PSG were the better team over two legs. Arsenal give it a good go. I think the game was lost in the first leg. I think the miss of Thomas Partey in that first leg, and then today they had to go a little bit for the game. Got caught out of positions at times, but I think in the end the quality shone through, and PSG were the better team, and they deserve to be in the final.
Yeah. Martin, are you proud of the way they went after it? Are you frustrated with the way they approached the game? What do you think?
I think both, really. I don't think they would have been surprised, some of the fans, because, you know, in front of goal, it's been tricky, you know, obviously since February, where you've lost Havertz. Jesus was already injured. I think it was a gallant performance tonight. Definitely can be proud of that, but it's about being more clinical in front of goal. And that's, you know, that's either that's another player or they find another way to score goals. But tonight, that's an area where we were sadly lacking, really, when it really came down to it.
There were so many chances so early on. They'll look at that back and think, oh my goodness, if only one of those had gone in, it could have changed the complex of the whole game.
You're right, Laura. You just need one to fall your way. You know, and obviously they don't have that striker, and Kai Havertz done a brilliant job filling in there. But if you think about when the moments came for PSG, they won them. Donnarumma made big saves, and I thought Arsenal, credit Mikel, he had a game plan at the beginning of the game. You know, long balls, crosses, throw-ins, and they actually dominated the game, but they needed a goal to show for it, Laura. Against the run of play, PSG got a goal, and then I think that changed the momentum of the game. But before the game, I said to Mikel about second balls. It's such a little thing, but you know what? In this game, it adds up. The first goal is the second ball, header from Partey, you win the second one, and the second goal is the same. So, and again, it feels like a little thing. It's a poor header from Partey. He's got to head it back. But that second ball, you've got to win that, Laura, in your box. And then you allow a player like Ruiz there who takes a touch. You know, it's just these moments add up, Jack, in the game, and I just thought they went against Arsenal today.
Yeah, he's out of position, Martinelli, and he's recognised it a little bit too late, and then he can't slow down. Ruiz is a good player. He's recognised it. He wants to get on his strong foot, and then, yeah, he gets a little bit of luck, but he's made that.
How difficult for Raya as well. Such a big deflection, as you're saying, off the back of Saliba.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the goalkeeper was beat anyway. I know he gets a deflection, but that's hitting the back of the net. It's a remarkable. It was really patient as well from Ruiz. He lets it run across his body. Martinelli's a little bit naive. He's trying to get across, but the header, really kills everyone. He's got to head that out front of the corner and reset.
Talking about second balls, you mentioned it as well for the second goal. Jack, why don't you talk us through this one for Hakimi?
Yeah, this is what we're talking about half time. That pass there, like, you don't have to make that pass. That's what they want. They want you to pass it inside, and now look at them start to run. They've got players that can carry the ball like that and give time for other players to get in the box. And then they have quality in these areas. Partey maybe can be a little bit more aware of that situation. But then, yeah, it all comes from Arsenal making a mistake they didn't have to make.
But you know what, one thing I would say, Laura, the two fullbacks, the two best in the competition. Hakimi's got 3 goals, 5 assists in this competition. Mendes has got 4 and 2. That means you're getting 14 goals and assists from your fullbacks.
And the Arsenal goal did come eventually from Saka. Would you like to take us through this? Because at this point in the game, you're thinking, wow, have they got enough time?
Well, I mean, to be honest, fair play to Trossard, because he keeps going. You know, Marquinhos just dives and the referee plays on, which we didn't see a lot of in the first tie, if I'm honest, and then they get a little bit lucky, but I didn't think there was a foul. I thought he dived, and he puts that ball into the danger. It's a lucky deflection, but then fair play to Saka, keeps going, and really, I mean, it's the only way to beat this goalkeeper when he's actually, look, he hits the deck, and he's out of the way of it, and then he can just roll it in, and then you wondered then, that second chance came, didn't it, shortly after that, and if he could have put that away, we might have had a different tie.
Credit as well to the off the bench to create those.
But you know what is, I think it was really tricky against Mendes because he's such a brilliant defender. When Saka came inside, he was brilliant and he created a couple of massive moments. This one maybe just takes his eye off it. Maybe Donnarumma puts him off, but tackle it, head it, let it hit anywhere. That needs to go in. If that goes in, Laura, wow, what a finish we're going to have. But it just didn't go their way in the big moments which they needed to.
What did you think watching that, Martin?
Yeah, it was painful. It was painful, and it will hurt Saka, and he won't be sleeping for 2 or 3 nights. But, you know, I think he can be proud of what he offered tonight. He was causing major problems for Mendes early booking. We didn't see a lot of him in an attacking sense tonight because of Saka on the pitch.
I know, Jack, like, they won't be feeling it now, and there's always a question to say, what do they learn from getting this far in the competition? And, you know, will they come back stronger next season? But do you think genuinely Arsenal, as a team, are getting closer and closer to something?
Yeah, I do, and I know that the fans and the people at home will be frustrated with this and probably frustrated with me saying it, but I do, and it is another step, and of course, like where we were, I mean, there was probably 4 or 5 years where we didn't qualify for the Champions League, and that was really tough, and Mikel came in and, you know, he had to build something from almost from the start and get rid of players and bring some players in. And I think, as I said before, when you look at PSG is probably a good example. They haven't won it in ages, and it feels like it's probably their time now. And as frustrating it is for us Arsenal fans, it's unfortunately we're probably going to have to go through that process.
They can't do it for too long or keep doing it like this because they don't want to become the nearly team that always misses out. Second place in the Premier League again and again, semi-finals of Champions League. I mean, some teams would bite your hand off for that, but do they need more?
I think it's a bit unfair on Arsenal. I still think they're a young team. I think they're developing. I think they progressed from last year when they went out against Bayern. I think they've improved dramatically this year. They're missing 2 of their best players, Kai Havertz and Gabriel, and they need a striker. So if you look at the depth of the other semi-finalists, they got way more depth and opportunity to rotate players. I think Arsenal, Jack made a great point, how hard it was for City and PSG to win this Champions League. It's hard. There's a lot of great teams with bigger budgets than Arsenal. But this summer, you'd love to see the club going back, Mikel, and bring in a striker or maybe bring in another one. Because I think goal scoring wise, I think they're 19 less than Liverpool. That's a big difference. They're this close, but they need to invest to get the players to help them make that final step.
Won't he? You know what I mean? He'll go from one team
from
to the
Arsenal
other. He's gone home. He's gone there with Arsenal, and he's going to go home with PSG, isn't he?
You may well do. Let's jump back into these highlights then. We hadn't yet seen any of the goals. So Fabian Ruiz made it 1-0 for PSG.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. If you pay attention, he's at the beginning with Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey clears the ball, as you're going to see here. He wanted to block Thomas Partey to allow his players to go and play. Then after, he automatically going to be alone, going the other way from the line of Arsenal going down. Massive deflection. I think, Jamie, we all agreed that Saliba could have done way better.
Yeah, he could have been, but this was the big problem. As soon as that goal went in, the counter-attack. Kvaratskhelia, who was outstanding again. Barcola has to do better. We've seen another incident before. That was actually Doué. This time it was Barcola. And Arsenal were probably a little bit lucky, really, in some ways, that Paris Saint-Germain didn't go in 2-0 up at half-time.
And then it seems like I've seen the same one yesterday from Jan Sommer, from, the Lamine Yamal strike. Bukayo Saka this time, and it's Donnarumma saving it. That was a a good strike, as you can see here. Fingertips, just like Jan Sommer yesterday.
And the penalty incident, which I cannot believe, even at UEFA level, European level, we know that the threshold is sort of lower. And I mean, I actually thought he was going to the screen to look at a penalty for Saka that had happened a couple of minutes before. But Vitinha takes the penalty, and it's a really good save. He's done his homework, Raya, because actually, when the penalty kick had been given, Raya ran to the side of the pitch to speak to his goalkeeping coach, got the information, and those small details worked. But then Hakimi, Thierry.
Yeah, what I like is Dembele, you know, not trying to complicate it, plays the ball to Hakimi. We covered it so many times. How many times this season we have seen Hakimi, Nuno Mendes in this type of situation? And for him to finish like that, if you remember the goal of Nuno Mendes against Villa, home and away, you will think like they are number 9s.
And we thought the game was over then, to be honest. It was just going to peter out. I was happy with the referee there because that wasn't a foul on Marquinhos.
You're right.
Defenders try and do that too often. A little bit of luck from Saka, but he puts it away. It just made it a little bit exciting at the end, but I thought that was really good refereeing. Too often defenders get away with those situations. And as I said, he just puts it into the empty net. But I'm pretty sure the next highlight or the next highlight that we see will be Saka again, Thierry, in a similar...
That's a great cross from Calafiori. Ball, I mean, he sees it all the way. I thought at one point that maybe Donnarumma disturbed him. That little bounce usually is not... You almost have to take the weight out of the power of the cross of it to guide it. But, you know, at times, I always say that at times left-footed players in this type of situation, ball bouncing with your right, you need to put your foot above the ball instead of under. If not, it goes up and it went up.